Fantastic. Welcome, everybody. We like to give our online welcome to everybody. Hello, hello. Great to have everybody here. You know, it's an exciting time in Zinzino. I don't know if you've seen these reports coming out with 2020 being 46% growth, and the last month here in April even higher, over 50%. I think it was actually 53%. So we have asked the founder of the company. She has been such an inspiration to all of us, and she's working with so many teams. And we wanted to find out, what is it that these teams are doing, the ones that are doing the exponential growth, the ones that are just rushing out there and having such high percentage growth, and really learn from what people are doing. So I hope you have your pen and paper ready to be taking notes. And I'm so excited to have her here. I really feel that she is also a friend that I could talk to when I need to. And yet she's also so interested in helping everybody have their business grow. So if you are one of those people who want your business to be growing, I think let's get our ears perked up and get ready to take notes. And let's welcome to the call our founder and global president, Hilde Rismyhr, Saele.
Thank you so much, Carla. It's such a pleasure to be with you all during today, and I understand that we both have people with us from US as well as Denmark, a good mix, so that's absolutely great. And I'd like to open up with a quote that maybe is a little bit of a strong quote, but still a very important quote, I do believe, in the times that we're going through. Helen Keller, she once said the following. She said that the most pathetic thing in the world must be to have sight, but no vision. Now, the reason why I do believe that this is such an important quote during this time is that it's the people that manage to look beyond the crisis, beyond the tragedy that the world is facing, and are focused on the future, have their eyes locked up on their target, that also will come out on the other end victorious. So today I really want to dig into specifically what Carla actually said. You know, what is the commonalities between the groups that are really rapidly growing, you know, because there is it's actually quite interesting when you analyze these groups, because there is a lot of differences, but then there is actually 4 very specific commonalities. So we want to focus the majority on our time on that specific subject, but I also want to talk about a little bit, at least, you know, where are we at this moment and where are we going? Because again, that is so important. When you know where you're going, it's a lot easier to actually get the job done. Now, for those of you that were following the education on our virtual director trip on Facebook a while back here, I told a story, and I just want to repeat that story because I think that some of you really do know him. And I want to take you back in time, actually specifically to the year of 2007, because during that year, Peter Sorensen, he had been working with us for approximately 1.5 years. And at this time, he was at, I think, around 750 customers, maybe a little bit above that. And even though that was great, you know, and he had been growing well, and that was a very marvelous result, he wanted more. So in that period of time, he did a lot of things to increase the speed of his business. I remember that he read a ton of books. It was always a new book in his bookshelf. He bought in on a meditation class because he thought that would help him along the way, control, you know, his thoughts and focus and so forth. I think that it was a meditation class that he thought would end maybe 90 days later, but it lasted actually for 5 years, and he finished it, which is kind of amazing. He was extraordinarily good at asking a lot of questions and implementing those questions. So Orion and myself, you know, we've probably never had more questions from a leader than from Peter, I would say. So he was very focused on implementing the advices, having a massive action game plan. But there was one thing that he understood would determine everything for him to actually get his goal. And that was, how would he manage to keep his focus? Because we all go through times, you know, where we have our down days and our good days, right? And one of the things that he decided on was that he was going to have the number 7,000 everywhere in his house, and representing 7,000, representing 7,000 customers. So for, you know, and I remember these times so well, you know, because Oren and myself, we were traveling over to this little island that he lived on, Ure, in Denmark, and you know, he had the number 7,000 on his fridge. It was in the bathroom. That was always very cold, by the way. And in the fridge, there was always very little food. Oren and myself remember that so well, you know. He had it on his steering wheel when he was out driving. So when he was going back and forth, you know, from meetings, you know, he was looking at those 7,000 as the number. He had it on the desktop, on his computer. It was on his phone. It was actually over Peter and Pernilla's bed, so in the ceiling. So it would be the last thing that he looked at every single evening before they fell asleep, and the first thing that they woke up to. And I think that it was back in 2012 or 13 that they passed 7,000 customers for the first time. By 2015, they had actually passed over 15,000 customers, and I should have checked actually their numbers now in April, because I think they're very close or already passing, you know, 100,000 customers. And today they are elite presidents in Zinzino. So for those of you that might wonder, so what does this really mean for me? Well, I do believe first and foremost that success starts on our inside before it manifests in real life. And obviously there is a lot of people that think, well, to become successful, we just need to be very optimistic about the future. We need to be positive. And obviously all of those things is important and critical. But I do believe that on a deeper level, success is really happening when you realize, what are you focusing on most of the time? Are you focusing on, for instance, the tragedy that the world is now in, the crisis, you know, that is happening in the world around us? Are you focusing on the challenges that you may face in your everyday life? A lot of people are now homeschooling, you know. The situation for a lot of people are turned upside down from what is normal. Do you focus on the loss? No. Or are your focus locked on where you are going? What are you going to create now in May? What's the results going to be in May? What are you going for by, for instance, end of this quarter, quarter two? How are you going to end 2020? What's your goals for the upcoming 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, you know? Where are you going? Because I truly do believe that the people that manage to focus on the future and have their eyes locked on their target, well, suddenly it's a lot easier to get your job, the different things on your to-do list done every single day. And one more thing, my friend, and that is that it's so much easier to follow a leader that knows where he or she is going. So if we look at Zinzino at this point, Carla already mentioned it, so, and you've probably followed the numbers yourself, but April was really an amazing month, and we were up 53% compared to last year's April. We landed on 271,850 customers, which was a record month customer-wise, you know, in the whole company. And there's a lot of things going on at the same time. And actually here a few weeks ago, we had our first online celebration where we had the investment of the company VMA Life, the direct selling company in Asia, that is now a part of Zinzino, went through. So it was an amazing celebration, something that we've never done, but it's cool, you know, to do that celebration online. And the reason why I can say that, for those of you that wonder, the reason why we purchased that company was first and foremost because it's going to enable us to have a bigger and better expansion in Asia, to have licenses in different Asian countries and in different Asian markets and so forth. And they also come with a good experience and I would say a long experience from direct sales. So it's going to be also be bringing Zinzino to the next level. I truly do believe that. But we have a lot of things in place for this year and a lot of plans for this year. And we are continuing with our expansion plan in spite of what is happening in the world. Now I think it's going to be on Tuesday. I'm not going to be 100% sure, but I think that the target is now Tuesday. We're going to open UK officially. So that's, a big thing. We will open Russia during this year, Ukraine, India. We have Greece on the map. Cyprus is on the map. In Asia, we're going to open Hong Kong, Thailand, Taiwan, Singapore, Malaysia. There are so many different things. I'm probably forgetting some markets as well. But a lot of people are probably wondering, you guys are crazy. How can you do that during this situation? But, my friends, that I do believe that, our job is more important than ever before. And our ability to expand is more important than ever before because people need our products. And they for sure need the opportunity, the financial opportunity to actually build a home-based business during these times. Because if we really look at the facts here, we know for sure that 500 million people out there are currently already using an omega-3 supplement. They've already bought in on the idea. We know that this business is growing with 7.6% every single year, and it's estimated to double actually in turnover by 24-25. Now, on the other side, we also do know with our disruptive technology and all of the tests that we've taken, we do know that even though you're using an omega-3 supplement, that doesn't mean that you're in balance. And in fact, actually 97% on average that are currently using a conventional omega-3 supplement does not achieve a 3-to-1 balance or lower. So we have a very important job to do when it comes to the already existing market, the people that already have decided that this is important for my health. But then also on the top of that, we have an extraordinary important job to do to inform the rest of the 7.2 billion people out there, that this is something that is critical for their health. So when we say that we're going to hit the 1 million target by the end of 2023, that's not just a cool number for us, to achieve. It's 1 million people that potentially can get their lives changed in the process. There is going to be thousands of people that will build a security, a stability for themselves financially in the process. If we just continue on with the growth that we've had on average over the past years with around 34 or 33.8% to be 100% exact annually, we're going to pass the 20 million target by 2035. And you all know about our target by 2050, where our main big hairy goal is to balance 100 million people. And sometimes, when I'm thinking about and looking at that number, I'm thinking to myself, gosh, maybe we could do even more. There's 80 million people being born every single year into this world, So we have a job to do here, and the market is endless. But we're going to be very, very proud every single step along the way. And we were so proud when we landed 271,850 customers now in April. So the main thing is really that I want you to get from this before going into maybe the the educational subject for today is really this, that when you know where you're going, it's so much easier to get the job done every single day, and it's a lot easier to follow you. So if we then look at the subject that we really wanted to dig into today, I do believe that strategies are good. I do believe in strategies. I'm good at making strategies myself, and plans and so forth. But I also do believe that, and you've probably heard that saying many times before, that culture beats strategy for breakfast. And it's very interesting because when I analyze the different groups in Zinzino that are doing amazingly well at this time, I see that it's very different demographic. Some are extraordinarily young, in the beginning of their 20s. Others are more towards maybe the elderly, passing 70, 80, some don't have any education at all. Some have several doctorate degrees. They come from different countries. They have different financial background, but there is also some very specific commonalities, and maybe you want to write it all down. First and foremost, I see that the first thing, and that's probably the thing that are topping the list, is that each and every one in this group has a very big enthusiasm for the product as well as the opportunity. They really do believe that they have a mission, you know, to share and spread the message of balance, as well as also, you know, the opportunity side of that. The second part is that there is an intensity over the work. You know, there is an urgency over every single thing that they're doing. So the focus on actually having people land the fast start bonuses is very, very locked on. The focus on closing every week, closing every month, is something that is a part, I would say, of the culture. Now, the third thing is that every single person is following a specific system, a method of operation. There is no confusion. One meeting is leading to the next, that leads to the next, and so forth. And then number four, you know, these results doesn't happen by coincidence. They happen because people are actually investing the hours and doing the rain-making activity. So let's now first take a look at each of them and then dig a little bit deeper into it. You probably know that Orion and myself, we like to travel, and normally this is such a special time for us because normally we're on the road quite a lot, I would say. And actually here the other day, I got myself thinking that I really just want to go to an airport and just sit there and wait for 2 hours for my plane to leave. because and normally I'm not that type of person, I can tell you. I come to the airport, then I'm off, you know, with the plane 30 minutes later. It's a miracle. My father has always said it's a miracle that she's on those planes. But but anyway, you know, we miss flying and we miss meeting all of you, you know, being out in the field, doing the short presentations face to face, having the events and the business presentations and all of that. But it's also, I would say, so we're privileged that we can do it online. But anyway, here, if I take you some weeks back in time, I think it was mid of February or something like that, Orion, he was on one of these event tours, and he was visiting Hungary, he was going to Czech, he was going to Slovakia, and it was such a busy weekend, you know, with a lot of different events after each other, a lot of leader meetings. And then the first meeting that he attended was in Hungary. And he was working together with Attila Balas Group, that is the president in the company. He started in 2017, and he actually achieved president, I think, a month before he actually passed 2 years. So he's done amazing. You know, I think that now it's very close to 30,000 customers, or maybe even more. And in this group, you know, there was this leader meeting on Friday. I think it was for his diamonds and above. And after the leader meeting, there was supposed to be a leader dinner. And the criteria to qualify for this dinner was that you had to have achieved a new rank, and I think it was above diamond, in January. Now, when Orion is coming into this restaurant, he notices this lady that he has seen many times before during these past 2 years, and she's a royal crown in the company. And he gets a little confused. He's like, "Gosh, you know, have I missed that she has actually achieved Black Crown? This is very embarrassing if that's the truth." So he turns to Attila and asks, "Did Maria Imrenifiketa achieve a new title, or did she achieve a new rank during the last month?" And Attila says, "Yes, she did." Did she achieve Black Crown? And he's like, "No, she didn't achieve Black Crown." And then Orion is very confused, you know. So he's like, "Can you explain a little deeper to me?" And then he says, "Well, you know, in our culture, we decided that when people have really gotten the business up to speed and they've passed the diamond, I think it was, we teach them that they should also open a family position." So actually in January, she was qualified Royal Crown, but her new family position qualified Crown. Now, the interesting part of this is that she is this 73-year-old lady that got started 2 years ago, late fall of 2017. And the reason why she got started was because she had severe health challenges. And she was looking for, alternatives to get her life back. At least that's what she's saying. And step by step, she started to get an improvement after the use of our products. And step by step, she started to build the business. She was actually majority of the time taking care of her grandchildren. And then, during the afternoons and weekends, she was building the business. And today she is just so extraordinarily passionate about sharing the message of health and bringing all of Hungary in balance, as well as giving people an opportunity to build a home-based business. And we're then talking about that this 73-year-old lady, well, 2 years ago, she had a retirement income of 358 euros a month. And then in January this year, she's then earning over 20,000 euros from Zinzino. Now, why am I saying this to you? Well, I think that it's a good lesson sometimes for us all to ask ourselves, would she be on your name list? Would she be on your contact list? Because it's so easy, I think, that when you're looking at your contact list, it's so easy to exclude someone. You might think, well, she's too old. She's already, struggling with different things. So maybe I should just approach her as a customer. I think for a lot of people, she would be on the customer list, right? Maybe you're thinking to yourself, no, he's too young, or no, she's too successful already. Well, the thing is here, my friends, that, you would have missed a great opportunity in that case, or Attila would have missed a great opportunity if it did not approach her as a partner. And to really see her thrive during this, she's such a, unfortunately, we can't really communicate in English because she doesn't understand English, so it's always through a translator. But this sweet, humble lady that is now absolutely creating magic in the business, would she be on your list? In addition to that, I also do believe that when it comes to the excitement and the energy around the products, it's also smart for you to ask yourself, what are you doing to create that fire in your team? What are you doing to really dig into the depth of the products yourself? What are you doing to tell your testimonial? Obviously in the right way, right? According to the laws. How are you ensuring that that is being duplicated in the team in a good way? How are you teaching the benefits of the products? How are you following up that people don't just take a first test, but they actually do take a second test and actually also get explained the result? Because I truly do believe that the more excitement we have going when it comes to the products, well, automatically the more excitement will be shared around the opportunity. And that is really going to create a grassroots fire in your team. Now, one of the things that one of my dear friends and also mentors over so many years, Randy Gage, you all know him, I've heard about him probably, is saying is that it says you either make or break your distributor within the first 48 hours. And I am so agreeing to that specific point, because I really do believe that it's really how you start, how you ensure that your partners start, that will also determine how they finish. I'm not saying that there aren't exceptions to the rule, but I really do believe that the better start we manage to give our partners, the better the duplication. And for instance, when we're talking about achieving the fast start bonuses, that I really do see is that probably one of the most important things that all of our groups are focusing tremendously on. That is that when I'm asking people who is really, the responsible, who's responsible for that, the new person is going to achieve those fast start bonuses, I often see that or the answer is very different. Sometimes I hear that people say, well, it's after all their business, so they're the one that are responsible. And obviously there is some truth to that. Some say, well, no, it's more like a shared responsibility, a 50-50 responsibility. Well, first and foremost, I do believe that everything is, for instance, for a relationship, for a marriage to work, you know, you both have to be 100% responsible. But in regards of this example, I would say that I look at it as a parent-child responsibility. And it's very interesting because, like, for instance, for myself, we have been blessed to have two incredible children. We have Sarah, that is 19 months now. She's in the age, you know, where everything is exciting, but luckily also still in the age, you know, where I can distract her a little bit. And then we have Gabriel, that is 5.5, and a lot of positive sides about Gabriel as well, but he is also very determined and stubborn when he sets his mind on something. They say that when you get children, you really start to notice, I would say, both your good sides as well as your bad sides. And we have also this little one coming. My stomach is starting to grow now. So a little one coming in August. So we feel really blessed. But back to my point here. With Gabriel, I can tell you that there is, because he's very determined when he locks his eyes on something or have decided on something, and there has been quite a lot of discussions, I would say, about different things. And for instance, during this past season, we've had quite a lot of discussions around that he does not like to use his helmet when he's bicycling, nor when he is ice skating. And obviously, I can't really, as his mom, say that that is okay. I can't compromise his safety. And I don't necessarily either believe in force. I'd rather believe in explanation and motivation. So we've had so many different conversations about why it's important to use the helmet, that the cool kids are using the helmet, that superheroes would use a helmet, you know. we have been talking about all of the different things, you know. It's been hour-long conversation about the subject, and now he's really bought onto it. But my analogy is really then pointing me into, again, the communication between us and our newly started partners. Very often, they have absolutely no clue about what is ECB. You know, it just sounds great. Sounds like Greek, something that I absolutely don't understand, right? But the point here is that in that communication, even though you don't necessarily get through during the first communication when it comes to why it's important to achieve the fast start bonuses, it's our job to change our communication, maybe in one way, another way, a third way, a fourth way, a fifth way, until they actually get it. Because again, it's our job to at least do what we can to ensure that they will get a good start. And similar, the same thing is counting also when it comes to the campaigns. How are you communicating the campaigns that we have going? For instance, now we have a lot of people in our company that have qualified for the 200% ECB in May. But in spite of a lot of people qualifying, it's not necessarily automatically so that all of these people know exactly how to utilize it in May. So it's our job, first and foremost, to take leadership of ourselves and look at the plans for ourselves, ask for help if you're unsure, but also, you know, help the people in your team ensure that they actually maximize the campaign. Because of the qualification, it was done in April. A lot of people were super excited to qualify, but it's now we can actually create the big growth for it. So what are you doing when it comes to leading with example and having that sense of urgency when it comes to always, you know, being the first to close out on the campaign? And when we automatically say, you know, urgency, it's a lot easy, I think, that a lot of people are looking at that in a negative way. And I'm not meaning it in a negative way. I'm meaning it in a focused way. When you know what to focus on, it's a lot easier to get results. Same is true also. The urgency you have over closing every week, closing every month, that is really what will create a ripple effect in your team. And when you have the enthusiasm going in your team when it comes to the products as well as the opportunity, you have the urgency and the drive that we utilize the different campaigns, the fast start bonuses, the comp plan. Well, that is really, I would say, two of the most fundamental things to create big growth. Third thing, well, system. And I said that earlier, you know, one of the things that I see is common for each group that are growing rapidly is that everyone is following a specific method of operation. And I think that first, I really want to applaud you guys, because I think that you've done an incredible job especially during this time, you know, to really change around and ensure that all of the offline work is now online. Some of you have gotten training with it before. Some of you feel like brand new people, you know, doing these online things. But I really think that that is really one of the main reasons why April was so good. And that I also do believe that we will continue to thrive now in May and so forth, that the leaders are really stepping up to leadership. So I really want to applaud you guys on that. A wonderful job. But in this process, I do believe that it's very important that there is no confusion. We have to be crystal clear about how do we invite someone to a meeting. We have to be crystal clear on what to say during that meeting. We have to be crystal clear on what meeting are leading to a new meeting. And there is two things that I just want to point out when it comes to working according to the system online. And that is that relationship always comes first. And you've probably heard this 1,000 or 1,000,000 times before, that people will join you if they like you, if they feel they know you and they trust you, right? So working online does not mean that you, for instance, text out 50 messages with a Zoom link to a business opportunity session and hope that people would automatically join. It does not mean that you need to be a super expert on Facebook or Instagram or LinkedIn or whatever and approach people that you don't know. What it means is that you do exactly as you maybe probably normally are doing. You call someone invite someone from your contact list that you know that you've built a relationship with, and you invite them to a one-on-one meeting or a two-on-one meeting together with your sponsor, where you talk about, and online of course, where you talk about the product as well as the opportunity. That's the first approach before you enroll them, for instance, into the business opportunity online. There is a little bit different systems depending on which country you come from. In Norway, for instance, as an example, there is a system where there is 2 business opportunity meetings every week, 1 customer presentation every week. And on those meetings, specifically then on the business opportunity meeting, there is 3 presenters, one talking about the product, one talking about the business, and one talking about how to get started, as well as also telling their story. So in the process now for you, when you've had this first meeting, depending obviously on how it's done in your country, you will invite them to the meeting, but you will prep them, you will explain what will happen. So for instance, if I were to invite someone in Norway, I would say, you're going to meet 3 different presenters, and I really want you to pay attention to the second presenter, because I really see that you have some common background. But one more thing, you know, when you log on, there's going to be several hundred people logged on. So don't be scared away by the number. They are there to watch the business, watch the opportunity themselves, as well as also there's quite some of them that are, a lot of them that are working with us as well. But what I really want you to do is that I want you to, during that meeting, pay attention, write down your questions, and then I would love to meet you right after the meeting or the day after, depending on what would be the better time for you. So what would be better for you? Would it be that we log on to a Zoom link right after the meeting, or for instance tomorrow? And then I schedule the second look, because again, one of the big traps that I see a lot of people fall into is that they really hope and they pray that someone would just call them after the meeting and say, oh, I'm ready to join, right? But we know that most likely, in most of the cases, even though it sometimes happens, in most of the cases, we need to continue to follow up. So in addition to that, relationship needs to come first. The second part is that following up is critical to ensure that you actually get them in as a customer or as a partner. Now, in the follow-up meeting, there is different things obviously you want to focus on. One is, of course, that you want to go into and answer their questions. That's probably the most important. Then I would talk about, this global megatrend. I would maybe also talk a little bit about and ensure that they understand the difference between conventional omega-3 and also our product and the benefits of them. I would ensure to talk about their motivation instead of my motivation. Now, this is very important because it's so easy, to be super excited about all the things that you're motivated about and really focus on that. But instead, be good at asking questions in the process. Be good at, finding out why would this be a good thing for them. And in Express Start, there is a list under second look, following up, of different things that you may focus on in that process. Sometimes I would say, for instance, that some like to do this because they really want to create an extra income for themselves. Those extra $100, sometimes $500 to $1,000 every single month, which obviously is making a huge difference for most people. Some really want to maybe, create a different career path for themselves and really get into a position where they have built a financial platform for themselves so they never have to worry about, the money side of things from here on. Some like to do this because they really thrive on helping people. They love the social aspect of it. They just absolutely want to spread the message of health. Some really love the personal development side, challenging themselves, stepping out of their comfort zone and doing something new. Some like to travel, even though we're not allowed to travel now. That's a big part of our business, to qualify for different trips, to build a global business and so forth. By curiosity, what would be your top 3 favorite picks? So talk about those instead of just what you are excited about. And then obviously tell them that they will be part of a team, how the system works, that they will not work alone, they will get help along the way, repeat the different kits they can get started with, and then ask for the answer. And in that process, I also do believe that it's so important to ensure that how this process goes towards them. I really dislike the word close because in many ways, when you close someone, they really don't want to do something about it, but you understand what I'm saying here. You want to open them up for an opportunity, right? And in that closing process or opening up process, depending on how you view it, I usually would focus on 5 different questions. Number 1, I would say, after going through the presentation, I would say, so now I've been talking a lot about the products as well as the business side of things. Just by curiosity, what would be your choice? Would it be to look more into the product and maybe become a customer, or actually do the business together with us? And then I would be silent and I would wait for their response. And I think that one of the things that is so easy then is that a lot of people, maybe they ask something similar, or maybe they have a different wording. I'm not saying that you should use exactly my wording here, so if you have something going for you that really works, stick to that. But the point here is that I see that a lot of people, they really want to jump to conclusion when people say, well, I'm interested in the business. And they want to say, okay, super, so then we sign you up here, right? And I've never gotten that to work for me. In my process, when I'm, opening them up to actually deciding, I would continue to ask questions. I would continue to create a dialogue. So for instance, the second question I would very often ask is, so what did you find most interesting from what we talked about? And then I would be silent and I would wait for their response. Now, maybe the third thing would be, do you have any questions? And I would wait for their response. And then I am the typical person that likes to know, if I say yes to something, I would like to know what is next. And I think that most people are in that category. So obviously, after maybe repeating the different kits, talking about the money back guarantee, I would also say, the normal way that things work is that if you were to decide to start, we would have a get started meeting, we would make some plans, we would set up a strategy according to how this would work into your daily calendar and so forth, and help you get this business launched. I'm going to train you, I'm going to support you. There is a whole team around that will actually help you in this process. By curiosity, if you were to start, which of these kits would be your pick? And then I would wait. And then last, if you understand that they're ready to start, I would say that I would absolutely love to work together with you. What do you say? Should we do this together? Or your wording of it. The main thing here is not necessarily that you use exactly the same things that I'm saying here. The main thing is that you know some sentences in the end that you feel comfortable about, that you feel confident about, to ensure that you actually get them in, that you get them to decide. Because I think that in that closing process, I do believe that there is a lot of people that just suddenly they feel a little stressed, about asking that final question. And you can't really succeed without actually asking, if they really want to do this or not together with you. So it's so important to actually be confident in that process. So in this situation, I would say that relationships, super important when it comes to now working online. Everything starts there, and following up is also critical. And I think that when it comes to following up, there has been done different studies of it, and I hope that I think it actually was in the book Go For Now. I read it the first time once, but in that book, I think it is in that book, it's a good read, by the way. It says that 44% they will only ask someone one time, 22% they will follow up a second time, 14% will follow up a third time, and then you have 12% that will follow up a fourth time. So it's actually only 8% that will continue to follow up 5 or more times. On the contrary side, we also do know from statistics that 60 to 80%, they are not necessarily ready to say yes before the 5th approach. So I'm not saying with this that you can't start someone from the first meeting or the second meeting. But what I'm saying is that I do see that 8%, they usually land 80% of the results because they master the follow-up. In the system, there is one more thing that is very, very critical, and I do believe that we all need to be very aware of, and that is that everything starts with you and how you are thinking. And in fact, from all the people that I'm working with, I usually say this, that 80% is really about, the mental side of things, 20% is the how-tos. And if we go, for instance, back to Attila, since I used him as an example earlier, that's one of the things, that he is super, super locked on when it comes to his team. He says that, if you're really going to work together with me, if I'm going to use my time on you, I would expect that you show up for the trainings. Not just because that's where we teach the how-tos, but also because this is where we give the recommendations about what books to read, what audios to listen to, and all of the other things that is critical. Because again, if I just send someone out there, he says, and expect them to succeed on their own, we all know that they're not necessarily going to succeed on their own. They need the right input. They need to be part of the right culture and get the right mindset to actually be able to grow. So enthusiasm for the product, urgent, and also opportunity, obviously, urgency, following a system, and then last but not least, things is not happening by coincidence. And this is also one of the things that I absolutely do love with this profession is that, you will get from what you put in. And I think that in this process, it's important to not just set goals for results, but I also do believe that it's very important to set goals by activity. And when it comes to that, for the people that have ever, been a part of my 90-day challenge groups, there is a lot of challenge groups, 90-day challenge groups that are going around the company, where for the people that have decided, to really boost their activity over a period of time, and go for higher targets. But one of the things that they all usually say there is that 3 is a good number, 5 is a better number, 10 is an excellent number. And what I mean about it is really this, that if it's good to have a monthly goal, for instance, but again, you need to know what are your daily goals when it comes to the activity. Because again, if you don't have a daily goal for activity, it's so easy that we just get caught up in all of the other things that are happening during the day. There is kids to follow up, there is job, most of you have a day job as well, you know, you have to focus on that. There is other things, there is tons of things that can take our attention. So let's say that you, for instance, you set a goal for yourself to have 5 activities every day. Maybe one day you have 3 meetings. Well, then for the rest of the 2 would be 2 approaches, 2 meetings, for instance, that you schedule into your calendar during that day, 2 phone calls. Maybe another day, you originally had 4 meetings booked, but then 2 of them get canceled, so you're left with 2. Well, then you make 3 calls and you ensure to fill your calendar. The main thing is that you know what to do every single day, because when you know what to do, it's a lot easier to get it done and be effective. So I think that we have covered most of it, and I could probably keep on going here, but I also see the time is flying here. But I also want to just wrap it all up here towards the end and say this, that, well, let me just actually take you a little bit back in time as well, just to exemplify what I really started out with here. When I was growing up, I was a Girl Scout, and I remember that during those years, I really love being out on excursions and being out in nature. If you ask my husband, he would probably not agree that I could light a fire, a bonfire, make a bonfire. I can absolutely do that, but I'm not very good at putting up tents, so that's not necessarily something that I would recommend you do together with me, go tenting. But anyway, you know, I remember very well this specific story from growing up, where I remember my dad, he was so worried because we were going on this field trip for a weekend. And one of the last things that he said to me before going out of the door was this. He said, honey, you have to be very careful and not step into the river. Because if the stream takes you, you know, it does not matter that you're a good swimmer. Now, what steam are you creating in your team? Warren Woodward and Chris Brady, they are writing about it in their book, I believe, Launching a Leadership Revolution, and they're exemplifying culture in this way. They say that imagine that you have this round pool and you jump into this pool and you start to swim in a circle. Well, when you start to swim in that circle, it's very, very difficult at first, you know, it's hard. You have to use a lot of energy because you're alone there. But eventually you get some people in together with you, and then it goes a little bit faster. And maybe you get more people in with you, and then it goes faster. And at one time, you know, at one point it goes so fast that when someone is jumping into the pool, they're just literally being pulled around because the steam is taking them. And I really do believe this, that everything starts with the culture that we create in our team. Sometimes we have seasons, you know, where things is absolutely booming. Sometimes it could be going through a season where you haven't gotten to the point where you really have gotten the results that you really want to. But in that process, I do believe more than ever, it's important to ask yourself, what am I going to be the example of? What culture am I going to represent in my team? Am I willing to duplicate into my team to really ensure that I get the results that I am worthy of getting? And one thing that I am very, very confident about, my friends, is that we're going to see so many crazy good results, both in Denmark, in US. I see a Finn, I believe, on the line here as well. In the upcoming months and years, wherever nationality you're logging on from, you know, I really do believe that we're going to see so many great results. We're going to see people during this crazy time that are going to jump up on diamond director. We're going to see people jump up to crown, royal crown, black crown. I even do believe that we will have breakthrough stories in the US where people are jumping on. It's like a ketchup effect. You've shaken the bottle, nothing is coming, and then suddenly everything is coming. People jump up to ambassador and people jump up to president, and it will absolutely explode during the upcoming years because you decide that you will keep your eyes locked on a target. You know where you're going, and when you know where you're going, it's so easy to get the job done, and it's so easy to get people around you to follow your lead. So with that, I am leaving the word over to you again, Carla.
I think everybody is so excited here. I don't know about you, but yeah, you can feel it. You see people doing some excitement here. Exciting. You know, Hilde, I totally believe that. I think it is really setting that culture of these exact examples, and let's get out there and really make a whole bunch of those dice being shaken and all the results coming in all over in every country, including United States, Denmark, and also Finland, you see. So thank you, Hilde. I don't know how to thank you enough for your leadership, your involvement in every team wanting their success. So thank you so much for taking your time out of your family too. And tomorrow, I know it's a special day, being mother of 3, one on the way there. So a special Mother's Day to you and every mother's on here. But we're excited about this. Thank you so much for taking the time. We're ready to rock this and have that. I think everybody on this call wants to have at least that 50% next month.
Privileged to be with you all. Thank you so much for having me on. Have a beautiful day and evening for those of you that are in Europe. Bye.
Fantastic. Thank every one of you for being on, and we will be having these trainings every week. Excited. So thanks for taking the time. Let's get this work done. Follow these fantastic guidelines. I took pages of notes. So let's make our goals and get this done. Let's rock it, you guys. Fantastic. Have a great day, everybody. Bye for now. Take care. We'll see you soon. Bye, everybody.